Good afternoon. My dad always said to be honest and to never lie. And I like to start off my speech by saying I'm a little bit nervous. Like, actually, that's a lie. I'm really, really nervous. Really nervous. So I was hoping y'all could help me be calm down a bit by taking a mindful moment. So I ask that you all put both feet firm on the ground, sit straight up in your chair, close your eyes, and the most important part is to listen and absorb your surroundings. Thank you. You can open your eyes now. Please raise your hand if y'all heard some noises being made during this mindful moment. What did you hear? Leon? So what my friend over there heard was my tics, specifically my tics from Tourette syndrome. Now, my Tourette syndrome is a disease that I was born with. And it was a battle of me finding my inner peace. But first off, what is inner peace? Inner peace is subjective. There's no one right answer, not one right definition. For example, the Buddhists believe that peace is the theory between the harmony of body and mind. I believe this: the state of physical and spiritual calmness despite many stressors. That's my own personal take of peace. And as I said before, I always did not feel this. Back in 4th grade, when I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, I had my struggle of finding inner peace. And for the next 4 years of my life, I battled to find it. And this is my journey. But first off, what is Tourette's? So Tourette's is a neurological disorder. Specifically, 1 in 1,000 people get it in their life. And it's more prevalent in the male sex. And it can be exhibited in 2 ways. First is vocal, such as what I was doing. All the popping sounds, high-pitched even noises. And in some cases, it can be extreme to where you yell obscenities. The second way is through motor tics. And motor tics can be anything from tapping your foot, squeezing your hand, sniffling, just blinking a lot, to little things such as fixing your hair. Now, heads up, if y'all see me fixing my hair, that's not a tic, I'm just trying to look good for y'all, so. But when did this all begin? Yeah, I know he's a cutie. And so this was me in 4th grade, right? A little troublemaker. And I was your typical 4th grader, right? Didn't do my homework, didn't eat my vegetables, tried to sneak my phone upstairs past bedtime. But in 4th grade was when I first exhibited Tourette's. I remember specifically. It was one day at school where I started making a noise, and I kept making it for the rest of the day. And I came back home, and my dad's like, "What are you doing at the dinner table?" Because it was already 8 o'clock at that time. I was like, "I don't know." And he told me to stop. And I said, "Okay." But that's the thing. I couldn't stop, and I couldn't stop for the next 4 years of my life. In fact, from there on, it got much, much worse. My tics would become more extreme. I would start spazzing out. I would be making obscenities. I would just sniffle to the point where I couldn't even sleep. In my life itself, my relationships suffered. My friends started to distance themselves. My teachers would kick me out of class. I couldn't go out in public for the fear of being looked at. People move away from me in movie theaters. And my whole life just turned around, like completely awfully. And that smile that you all see became a frown every single day. And those eyes did not dare to look at anyone for the fear of being judged. And then at some point was when I reached the lowest point of my life and became bullied. And specifically, I joined the 56.12% of people with Tourette's being bullied. And because of this, 56.12% of them 76% of them become depressed. And I, in fact, joined that group too. Now, depression itself is another very serious neurological disorder. There are 8 forms of depression commonly known right now, such as major depression, bipolar, seasonal, menstrual, and 4 others. And the thing is, at this point in my life, I really hit a new low. I hit a new low that I decided to finally take my control of my life. And at the same time, I didn't know at the time, was when I took my journey of finding inner peace. So, well, what now? Well, at first I decided to learn when I needed to exhibit my tics. And I realized that it was when I was feeling emotions. Emotions such as stress, anxiety, happiness, sadness. And the feeling that I would need to exhibit it was like a creature inside of me just trying to gnaw its way out. And if I left it in there, it would just keep eating and eating at me away until I finally released it. So my next point in my life was to try to change my Tourette's. As I said, my Tourette's was really, really extreme. You could see me from 5 miles away over there and be like, oh yeah, that's Arthur, don't worry about him. And that's when I decided, okay, when I feel like I need to do, spaz out or make a real loud noise, I'm gonna do something less subtle, more subtle. Something like squeezing my hand, tapping my foot, just even doing my wrist like that. And this for me was a win, because as I said, I was afraid to go out in public to be judged because it was so extreme. So anything more subtle, which means I was getting more control of my life. And I did. I became better. I could change my tics how I wanted them to. But I plateaued because I couldn't make any more progress. And for me, I still wanted to completely get rid of my Tourette's altogether. And so then, one night, me and my mom decided to look into some treatments. And that's when we chose on acupuncture. The acupuncture itself is a very controversial topic in the field of medicine. Either being a science or pseudoscience, as Crew Mallory from my TOK class has taught me. Thank you, Crew Mallory. And, I just remember going into that appointment. Warning, I am still afraid of needles. If you put a needle in me, I will pass out and start crying like a little baby. So, I don't know if y'all can imagine, but 12-year-old me at the time was completely stressed out. And I was spazzing, crazy, moving my arms, making noise and everything. And I remember the feeling of the first needle going in me, specifically in my left earlobe. The moment it hit it, every single sensation in my life to commit a tic just went away. And for the first 4 years of my life, for the first time in 4 years of my life, I finally was at peace for 5 minutes. But that wasn't the actual breakthrough of my inner peace. My breakthrough of finding inner peace was during those 5 minutes of when I realized I need to accept what I have. Because the condition that I was born with will stay with me for life. And if I let it control me, I will forever fight a losing battle. And the moment I realized I needed to accept it was the moment I found my inner peace. Because I realized that I'm letting it take control. I'm letting it ruin the peace which I am within. If I can accept it and live with it, that is my peace. And that's truly what happened. The moment I accepted it, I became less stressed about it. I was no longer afraid to go out in public. No any more stressors. And since I'm not feeling emotion anymore or stress, I don't exhibit my tics. And it got better. I kept progressing and progressing and progressing to the point where some days I would have no tics at all. Now, even to this day, I still exhibit my tics a little bit. I don't know if y'all could tell, I move my fingers sometimes during this speech. That's my tic. But I still live with it. I accept it. And even though, as I said, I'm extremely nervous talking in front of you all, I'm still within myself and my inner peace of being comfortable with my Tourette's. And as I near the end of my speech, I want to read you all a quote. "Nobody can hurt me without my permission" by Gandhi. I feel like this quote is a perfect description of my journey of finding inner peace. Because I'm the one who gave my Tourette and my disorder permission to hurt me and take control of my life. And the moment I said no more was the moment where my life came back to normal and I was able to find inner peace. And that's why I think if I can find inner peace, you all can too. Because the journey to achieving world peace begins with the journey of peace within oneself. Thank you.